Everybody see how I'm looking you in the eye, talking to you. Okay, body language good, positive. Okay, happy to be here. All right, okay.
Are we grading you on this?
No, I'm just saying, yeah, we can. The kids, just for the kids.
We will have a box at the end on your way out.
Yeah. So just want to let kids know this, but this is how we interacted. You know, I'm 42 years old, about to be 43. When we were growing up, we didn't have cell phones and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all, you know, the PlayStation, all that. So we had to really talk to each other, communicate with each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's big now because you guys don't do that. You may be sitting right next to each other and texting each other. But in the what's it, real world, in the world, in the business world, you know what I mean? When you get older, you're gonna have to learn how to communicate with each other, not just by text and Twitter. That's fine to have those, you know. Even with the Twitter, with the text, you know, you guys give, you know, see you later or whatever the, you know, whatever the symbols are for that, right? You know what I mean? But you got to learn to talk and communicate. You know what I mean? And even for myself, it's something that I express to my son all the time. Like, you have to be able to talk for yourself and speak up. If something you feel like something's not right, say so. If you feel like something, you know, needs to be done better, say so. You know, express that to your teachers, to your parents, friends, whoever it might be. Okay, so that's big, and I really didn't even touch on that. But when I'm looking at you guys today, I'm looking at, you know, your body language and how you just, even now how you're sitting up. You know, if you're attentive, you know, you're sitting here, you're like this. You know, some guys like this kind of says, well, whatever, coach. This kind of says, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I really don't care. So sit up straight. You know what I mean? Be focused. Don't be playing with your basketballs, doing whatever. And that's a big part of just growing. I learned this myself, and I have a little wisdom. You gotta listen. You gotta listen to everybody. I've learned so much. I can learn this. Listen to Marcus, Wendell, Simon, Coach Ward. You gotta listen. If you don't remember nothing else from this, remember that you gotta listen. You gotta listen. The only way you can learn and get better in life, whatever you do, you have to listen. Don't think you know it all. You don't. You know what I'm saying? You have to listen. So. Aaron, again, since we've been together since we started, I want you to kind of talk about the history and where we came from, since we got about where we came from and how much we've done and what, you know what I mean, just, I think that's important too, you know what I mean, since he knows, you know, we've been around since we started, so if you could just speak to that, so parents can kind of understand, you know, again, where we came from, what we doing.
Well, we started 2009, and we started, obviously, I had a son. Wendell had a son. We played ball together. I had a daughter that was playing AAU basketball as well. She was a little older. So I didn't really care for the program that she was involved in. So me and Wendell talked, we said, you know what? We started the junior NBA, and we said, you know what? Let's put together a program and teach it what we know and what we've experienced and try to get these kids in school. We never knew what it was going to elevate to. So the first year we started with 2 teams. Of course, Omar Ziegler, Davin Walker, Coach Wayne. A lot of y'all know Coach Wayne that's been around, and a host of other parents. And we did so good the first year by doing the right thing that other people came that had sons or whatnot. Hey, I want to start a team. So we went from 2 teams to 17 teams in a matter of 3 years? In a matter of 3 years. 2 years, 2 teams to 17 teams. Now, like, we had so many kids coming, like Joel said, he said, we don't like to call it a B team, you know what I mean? So we started having to add 2 teams, okay? But the time has flown by so fast. I like to look at things as kind of like the hourglass effect. K through 12, you know, everybody, that's 12 years, okay? So a lot of the kids in here are about 6th grade. So they're K through 12, the hourglass is half empty. So now it's not fun and games anymore. It's totally preparation, you know what I'm saying? Preparation to go to the next level, you know, secondary, college, and then on to life. So with that being said, a long time, this basketball, I try to tell kids all the time, this basketball is something more powerful than you ever know. This basketball brings people together that you might not even had intentions on on meeting up with, or you might not even know when they're in high school. Just so happens, me and Wendell played ball together, and we've been friends ever since because of that. And when we competed in high school, I was a senior, Wendell was a sophomore. I was a junior, Wendell was a freshman. So, you know how upperclassmen do freshmen, you know. We're going, oh man, he coming in trying to take spots. He coming in as a young prodigy. Oh, foul him hard, knock him down, you know. But that bond and that brotherhood did something. Like, I looked at these guys, and I looked at, you know, a lot of you all might not know what's gonna happen, what's gonna become, but those guys will be these guys.
Yep. Yep.
And that bond that they're gonna have is gonna be forever. They might not talk every day, but Cordell Robinson and George Ward know each other because they played against each other throughout high school growing up. Cordell went to me and Wendell's high school. He was the big brother. He was the guy that we came in. So these guys, looking at these guys, is us coming up, looking at Cordell Robinson coming out of Bishop Borges and say, oh man, he went to USC. You know, oh man, you know, this and that. And the coaches are using him as an example. The same way as we're using these guys as examples, good examples.
The reason why I'm doing this is because I wanted to go take Michigan Playmakers beyond basketball, and not just Michigan Playmakers, just our whole state of Michigan basketball, sports, kids, youth, take it to a whole nother level, you know, because one thing you guys are called, they're always going to be called, is student athletes, right? So everybody knows the student comes first, right? That's why the student comes first, because what? Because right, without school, you can't do anything, any type of sports, right? So you gotta get your education. You gotta further your education. That has to be in the forefront of your mind, okay, all the time. I got 3 guys up here, so I'm gonna speak to the kids first, and then we got some coaches gonna speak, some former parents, people that have been through the process of where you kind of at, you know. But I wanted the young guys to speak first. I want to introduce them because I've known these guys for years. They've been through the program. Marcus Bailey started with me in 7th grade. He's a senior in college at Wayne State. He played football, he played basketball and football at Wayne. Now he's just playing football. He's a senior at Wayne State. One of the hardest workers I've ever coached. Do whatever you ask him to do. 6'3", 6'4", guard 6'10" guys. Never complain. Come back and help or camps, clinics, whatever, just whatever's asked of them, okay? Joel Forgas, who's got a scholarship to Minnesota Duluth for football. He's a senior in high school. He played with us since the 5th grade. Same thing, great kid. I can't even begin to say, you know, how many times that stuff might not have went his way, but he never complained. Always just kept fighting, kept working, you know. Then my son, who's a junior, Al Lamir, who's the #1 team in the country in basketball, same thing. I seen him work hard, work ethic, never complain, make a mistake on the court, don't ever drop his head, just get it back, keep working, keep working, keep working. And I want these guys to talk to you because they've been in your seat, you know what I mean, where you've been at. And I want them to give you what they've learned. And so you don't have to make some of the same mistakes they made or do some of the same good things they've done, because they've done a lot of good things. Share it with you guys. So get your listening ears on, because I'm gonna let y'all listen for probably 10, 15 minutes. You can go practice and do what you're gonna do. But I want you to hear from these guys, definitely. So I'll let Marcus go first.
All right, once again, my name is Marcus. I play football at Wayne State. I play basketball too. Just be coachable. That's the biggest thing. Be coachable. It's things that you're not gonna want to do, and all you always have to say, yes, coach, because that player with the bad attitude, that's a player that's not gonna get recruited. I know y'all young now, y'all really don't get it, but it's all gonna pay off in the end. Always have a positive mindset, a great attitude, and take care of school first, because don't know what coach want to dump you. Be straight up with you. If you ain't got the grades, no coach is gonna look at you. Not even high schoolers. High school's not gonna look at you. Y'all in 7th grade right now? 6, 7, 8. If y'all don't have the grades to get into these schools, y'all gonna be wiped off the map. There's somebody else working just as hard as you with the better grades. Grades is the most important thing. So my biggest thing to you is student athlete first. Student, then the athlete. The athlete comes after the student.
I'm Wendell, as most of y'all know. Probably one of the biggest things that probably hurt me when I was your age, that's probably still affecting me right now, is talking to the coaches myself. Like, if something's not going my way, I will always, he was my coach, so like, it's my dad. But I will always go to my mom and be like, he's not doing it this way, I don't like that. He cussed at me, I don't like that, you know. And I always have my mom come at him. And now, like, I'm older now, I go to school, it's not a Michigan, I don't live with my parents. Even though y'all see me a lot, I live by myself in a dorm. And if something's going wrong, I have to go to the coaches to talk for myself, which is still kind of difficult for me right now, which I don't really do. But like, it all started at a young age. Like, you guys always ran to my mom and felt like she had to say something to him, or he had to say something to somebody that was coaching me. So that's probably the strongest thing I would tell y'all to like work on, is always come to the coach yourself before y'all parents do. And then one thing that helped me, like, while I was your age, my work ethic, which is still helping me right now. A lot of kids, like, they just take practice, it's 2 hours of practice, and they think like, oh, I'm done working for the day. But like me, I would go back home, go in the basement, and set up, like, we got paint jars, I set those up, dribble through those with the cones, dribble 2 balls, go outside. Even if I had a workout at 1, I'm working out again at 4. So like, most kids, they don't work out at 1, and they get those 2 hours, I'm getting 3 hours at home. So I just say, like, take extra time out of practice just to work your game and get stronger and better.
Yeah, as Coach said, I'm Joel from the William Churchill. I'm a senior, and yeah, I started in 5th grade, so about your age right now. I came in, so I didn't know anyone, didn't know nobody, just came in and just started working. And about 6th or 7th grade, I got bumped down to the B team, and he said, got some setbacks, and I just usually think, oh, I suck, like that. I was like, oh man, for a little bit I was just, man, this is the worst. I'm on the B team, I don't play in the real, I'm not playing against a high level team, not playing against a family, all of them. But then all I did was just grind that all the time. You're just working every day, just come in, it just doesn't matter. And that 9th grade year, I made it back to the A team, and I ended up starting by the end of that year. And that was all just from, you just make sure you just don't have your goals go out of your mind whenever you get set back like that. You're not just thinking, oh man, this is the worst, I'm gonna quit now, I'm just gonna go home and just do whatever I want because I'm not good anymore. I mean, that doesn't matter as long as you just keep working. And even these practices are better than some of the tournaments you guys might play in. Like, playing against all these other kids, some of the best in the area, and just coming to practice every day is going to get you so much better if you just come in just ready to work. And as he said, that's just carried me through football. As I moved in high school, I moved more towards the football perspectives. Our program's a lot better there than basketball was. But that's all it was, is football. I came in, sophomore year, I didn't think I was getting any offers. I was just going to focus on basketball. Then the coach expressed interest in me, and then I pursued that as a D1 coach, and then I found out later that they weren't really interested in me going there. And so that's the same thing that happened in 7th grade, is that oh, I suck, this school doesn't want me there. But then the more you just keep working and working, I end up getting multiple D2 scholarships, which is just as fine as a D1 scholarship, because money's money. So that's just the biggest thing, is that when things like that happen, is that it's not over. You still have a lot of time left, and you can still work back to get where you want to be.
Kind of, can all y'all 3 elaborate on how work ethic, which you did as a playmaker as a young kid, how it translated over to the classrooms, all aspects of your life? Can y'all kind of touch on that?
All right. So, y'all typical day right now is what y'all wake up about 7, 8 o'clock, go to school, go to practice, go home, do it all over the same day? Next day? That's what it is. All right, so how about waking up at 4:45 in the morning? Wake up, go condition, and that's for about an hour and a half. Then you go lift weights. That's for about another hour. After that, you still got to go to class. Go to class, some classes about 2 or 3 hours, depending on what you take. After that, you want extra money, so you go work. But still, you got to find time in that to work. So after that, you got to go work out again. So that's 3 workouts already that day. And that's during school, but still got to study. So you might, depending on who you are, what your grades like, you might have study table, so you got to go to study table. By this time, it's about 6, 7 o'clock. You got to find time to eat. Everything is about time management, to be honest with you. Once you figure out how to manage your time and what's most important to you, then you'll pretty much get a hang of it. But right now, you guys are young, y'all probably don't understand it, but like, time management is really everything for real. Because you got to find what's really important. And sometimes you might be like, oh, I want to play Fortnite. It ain't time for Fortnite. You might have to put that controller down and pick up a book. Because like I said before, academics come first. How many of y'all really like school? All right. What if I told you? What if I told you get paid to go to school? Like right now, I get paid to go to school. Like they're paying me, I get scholarship and I get a check for going to school. Just by having grades. Like if y'all don't like school, y'all better start liking school. Because without the education, can't do nothing.
Well, with him, he never made me like. He always suggested it. Like even now, he was like, "You want to go run a mile?" I could say no. I could say, I mean, with a mile, he would say no. But like, it's always like it was always my decision. So like, and with the work ethic from the Playmakers, just competitiveness. I was always the smallest guy. I still am like one of the smallest guys on my team. So like, it was just always competing in the classroom. I wanted to have the highest grades, even though if it was really smart kids like him, he's really smart. Like, you still want to be up there, high caliber, and on the court, you just want to compete. And then like, you just want it for yourself. Like, it came to a point where I was just like, I really want this. I saw NBA. I set a goal for myself. I'm not gonna talk about that goal, but like, you just want to be the best. So like, you want it for yourself. He could want it for me, but if I don't want it for myself, I'm not gonna get it. So if he forced me to go to the gym, and I go to the gym for the hour, and I don't go 110%, it didn't help me. Maybe it helped him because he could call somebody and be like, yeah, I have my son at the gym for an hour and a half working, but in reality, I didn't get better because I didn't go hard. So you gotta want it for yourself. You want to wake him up in the morning, be like, can you drive me somewhere? Or can you shovel the snow for me so I can go outside or anything, you know, like can I go outside? So it's just like want it for yourself more than anybody else. That's the most important thing.
In a math and science program, and there's kids that are way smarter than even me. I mean, they're from the MIT, Michigan, all that stuff. And they're a lot smarter than me, but it's like the same mindset. As you come in here, as I mentioned earlier, you work with the best and you're practicing with the best in your area. I go in my classrooms every day and there's kids that are better than me and the best in our area. And every day I'm just kind of the same mentality. You just gotta make sure you're paying attention as much as you can, doing everything you can, learning from them as you can. You know, you see someone make a move here, I see someone, you know, solve a problem there. It's the same type of thing, you know, you just have to relate it, you know, you feel the same way. You're competing in the classroom against other people that are just as smart as you or smarter, being on the basketball court with them. And the same thing in football is, especially my JV year, our quarterback got pulled up to varsity, and one of our receivers got pulled up, and coaches looked at me and they moved me around to 8 different positions that year because I was one of the few that was competitive enough to be able to play all those and learn all those positions. Same way in basketball, you know, you gotta be able to go outside, play against someone who's slower than you and beat them off the dribble, or someone smaller than you, go down low and beat them down there. Same type of thing, you know, as you're working here, you can just think in your mind as you're playing other sports in the classroom. It's all just the same thing, just competing and working hard.
And we've been coaching, helped to start the Playmakers. Been coaching with us for about 10 years. We played high school basketball together 25, 30 years ago. Coach Ward has been coaching Playmakers for several years, coaching basketball 20, 25 years. Kind of runs our high school division, any clinics and things we do, training, he's done that. And Anika, and both their parents too. Anika was a parent. Her son played with us all 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. And great kid. Her daughter came to camp. They've been supporting us since, you know, they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Her daughter get better. She played against boys back years ago, but great. She done a great job.
If you have any girls right now, put them back with the boys. They don't like it, but I'm telling you.
It worked. Me and Jennifer been, I know these ladies like 30 years. Jennifer also.
Ain't no way I know this man 30 years.
Same thing. Even back, you had a United Way program. We sent kids back there about 7, 8 years ago. She's just done a phenomenal job with helping kids transition from high school to college. So this is a great resource. That's the wish to do again. So you got, these 4 people especially that have dedicated their lives to helping young men and women advance. That's it. They have they don't care about money. It's not about age. It's about making a difference in society. So we got some great people.
Making sure we choose the right situation for our children. When you talk about matriculating into high school, that's where it gets tricky. There's been a lot of young men and women who could flat out play basketball. We could just talk about Anika, for example, her children. Her son, her daughter is highly recruited, outstanding basketball player, will probably be Miss Basketball next year sometime. Her son can flat out play, but I'm not gonna get into a whole lot of details, but it wasn't the right situation for him, per se. She was kind of stuck in some things. We have to make sure we pay attention to exactly what coaches are doing. So if you're talking about choosing a school for your child, these 4 years are very critical. You're talking about free education. You should go do your homework. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. Make sure you pay attention to what is gonna be suitable for your child. Is this program going to be a situation where your child is going to be handled as you would as a parent? Are they going to be held to a high standard for discipline, academics, diligence, all those sorts of things, and not because your son is the greatest player in the world, if this coach is going to just kind of let him do whatever the heck he wants to do, because it's not going to happen at the college level. So it's a lot of things that you have to do now as far as your time, your investment, and paying attention to everything that's going on. And I think that's the biggest thing when you talk about middle school to high school.
Can you touch on the parent, how much need to be involved, how much you don't need? I mean, kind of like, you know, the give and take, because obviously some parents not involved enough and some parents are overly involved. Can you touch on that? Because I know you had this situation.
So, Wendell mentioned a little bit about my background. So I've been on both sides, right? I'm the parent that's highly involved, right? And had to learn, okay, when do I need to be involved? When do I need to step back? At what point in my child's development do I need to do that? Because that's big. But then also I've been on the other side of the table where the parent is sitting across from me, right? And I'm talking to the parent as an administrator, and it's like, okay, either back or get involved, right? So that's a really good question. So two things I would say to you. Number one, like I said earlier, you are in charge at the end of the day, okay? This, as Coach said, your child is your biggest investment. So you are, as I call myself the momager, right? I'm a momager of 3 children, okay? But I'm not their basketball coach. Okay, see, there's two very distinct things right there, right? So I manage their time, I manage who they play for, I manage what program they are in, but then I have to step back and allow them to be coached by the people that I have coaching them. Now, we've played for other programs, okay? So let me tell you why we came to the Playmakers with my son. As Wendell said, I've known Wendell for 30 plus years. So why wasn't my son playing exclusively with the Playmakers when he was 5 or 6 years old? Well, we knew some other people, right? So my son was playing with another program. And it wasn't necessarily a bad situation at that time for him. But when it came time as he got a little bit older, and I looked at the situation he was in, and I said, okay, he's really serious about this thing, right? Like, not he's just having funny games, playing around, and he's really serious about this thing. I need to put him in a situation around strong men, okay? That was most important for me. Strong men that I would trust to not only coach him, but model, you know, mentor and work with him and demand the absolute best of him. Now that's hard though, right? Because when you have strong personalities like these gentlemen right here, and they laying into your baby on the side, and you like, oh God, like you just want to jump in and, you know, don't yell at him, don't talk to him, don't cuss at him, don't fuss at him, don't, you know, that's your natural, right? Especially for women, but men do it too, just a different way. That's your natural tendency is you want to jump in and protect them and rescue them, and guess what? If you feel that strongly about rescuing them, then there's 2 things that's wrong. Either one, they're in the wrong situation in the first place, because there are some people that you need to rescue your children from. Don't get me wrong. Okay? So either one, they're in the wrong situation, or number 2, you're not trusting the situation. Okay? So one of those 2 things is going on. And you have to ask yourself, A, which is it, right? Is it a bad situation? Because again, sometimes there are. But if it's a real bad situation, then we don't need to have a conversation other than he playing somewhere else, coach, thanks, and we're leaving. So there's no confrontation, there's no involvement, there's no messing around. The other part is if I need to trust the situation, right? Now that doesn't mean that the coach and I don't have a conversation, but it's time and place. It's never in front of my child. It's never in the middle of a game. It's never during those times. It's a conversation so I can understand. Wow. But that is what, you know, for me was really big as a parent. And then in terms of the other part of involvement, one of the worst things about as a parent of AAU kids and as an administrator is after 7th grade, y'all disappear. Y'all disappear on them. You think your job is done when really it's just getting started. Wow. It's really just getting started. It's easy to parent an 8-year-old. I'm just telling you. It's real easy to parent an 8-year-old and be at the games when it's all fun and games and all the rest of that stuff. But when they're 14, 15 years old and literally every move they make somebody's watching, somebody's looking, somebody's, you know, trying to take from them, take advantage of them, and you're not even around. Now again, let them coach, but they're traveling out of town. You think it's okay, just throw everybody on the bus, coach, go with the coach. I'm not worried about what you're doing. And we're losing our kids because of that, right? We just letting them go, right? And that's, to me, is one of the toughest things to watch as an administrator and as a parent, is when I love my babies. I love every kid that played with the Playmaker 17U. But that don't mean I want all of them in my car and feeding all of them every single trip either. Because their parents not there parenting, you know, and your kids miss that. You think they're not paying attention because they're older. They're looking for you in the stands, I guarantee you, every single time. When you're not there, they feel your absence. So obviously we work, right? You might not be able to do it all the time. You might not be able to make every trip. But for me and my family, what we did, when the AAU schedule came out, it goes right into the calendar. We use off days, we use weekends, we do whatever it is that we can do. We cancel our vacations were AAU trips.
Yeah.
That just is what it is. Our trips were AAU trips. Make sure we had a hotel with a pool, right, for my baby who got drugged to a whole bunch of basketball games. And maybe extended an extra day so we might have some additional family time where we could squeeze it in. But just be present and be involved.
Awesome.
No tuition is my slogan with my kids, right? And so now I'm actually launching into TNT Sports. And one of our goals is actually to do just this, to help kids with that transition, to help parents like yourselves navigate that transition of recruiting, right? I've got, you know, like everybody said, my daughter's really, really highly recruited. You would think that process is easy, but actually it's really tough too, because you got everybody calling you, you know. And then I have my son who all his life thought he was gonna be a Division I basketball player, gave his whole life to it, that's all he thought. And now, that's not exactly how it's panning out, right? Now what do? How do we navigate that process? And then also in between, what can you do as parents? Because you don't need to spend a bunch of money on all these services and all these people. There's a lot of things you can do as parents to get your kids ready and get them exposure, more than what you would think.
Once the kids are, the teams are picked, we're gonna, you know, sit down and deliver these kids transcripts and SAT scores and kind of see which fits best for them. And again, Jennifer really gonna hit home on everybody's kid in this room, and everybody's kid's not gonna play college athletics. So it's not gonna, again, I know that's why all of us are here put together because of basketball, but we're gonna stress to the kids about just life goals and college in general, using that as a tool, you know.
Yeah, real quick. Let me just add a couple things. So how many parents in this room actually, athletics aside, just want their children to go to college? So that's impressive, right? And so I like to kind of pick up where Anika left off is, you know, based on what I kind of see in the field working with students who are both, you know, college bound, playing athletics, and those that are not, is that the parental piece and the absence of parents, even good parents, not absentee parents, but I mean parents who just really feel like the coaches got it, the high school counselor got it. You know, the parents are totally unaware that your child is not even on the track for even being recruited, right? And so what I would urge every parent to a middle schooler in this room to think about is, how are you setting your child up for success even without them playing athletics? Are you saving money for your child to go to college? I will tell you, I see tremendous amount of parents who are like really putting, in my opinion, undue pressure on their child to deliver via scholarship, athletic or non, to go to college. That's only part of it, right? There are all types of scholarships, athletic, right? Even academic. Some are not renewable. Some are just one-time scholarships. So as a parent, if everybody is kind of saying, hey, I want my child to go to college, I would ask you, what are you kind of doing financially to close that gap? So you have to ask yourself, am I the parent that is saying, listen, if my child doesn't get a scholarship, they're going to community college or not at all? Because we have those parents. I'm not sure that that's fair, right? But I will also say that you have to be involved, because there are a lot of adults that are coaching your child that don't know this process. Not only do they not know the collegiate recruiting process, I had a student, you know, and I can't even name schools in here. I'm working with a senior right now from a Detroit Public High School, making sure that he signs up for the clearinghouse. This is a team that went far in the football playoffs. His coach sent him a link for the NCAA clearinghouse application that wasn't. This is not even a real website. So, but his parents are entrusting that the coaches know what's happening. So as a parent, you have to educate yourself. You have to understand the NCAA sliding scale. You have to know that if your child's GPA is a 2.5, let's just say as a sophomore, where is that, what type of SAT score or ACT score on the NCAA sliding scale is he going to be required to have? Do you understand that the NAIA is a division basically in competition to the NCAA that requires a different application altogether, right? Do you know, as parents, as we start talking about high school selection, you know, do we know that in the Farmington High School District, for example, that 80% of the black males are receiving a 2.5 and lower? Do you know that as a parent? But on the flip side, do you know that in Detroit, if you live in Detroit, if you graduate from a Detroit high school, if you and you've been in that space for 4 years, do you know about the Detroit College Promise, where they can get free tuition to any state of Michigan school that they're accepted to, as long as they have a 3.0 or a 1060. So I'm saying, I would just press upon the parents in the room that you have to understand the things around this game and the things around being in a place that you're eligible for college, if indeed we want our child to go to college, right? Because all of those things matter. In the 9th grade, 10th grade, you absolutely should be securing services for your son or daughter, if there are daughters that are coming up in the ranks, to make sure that they're getting those SAT or ACT strategy sessions to win that. So there's an entire academic side of this that our parents are not even aware of, and it is causing our children not to be eligible, okay? So then now I have to deal with the fact that my kids' dreams are in the tank. As a parent, I didn't really do everything that I could to set them up for success, right? And now I got a situation, now I got a depressed senior on my hands. So I would urge you to become educated. I'm looking forward to kind of working with the Playmakers to make sure that parents and students alike have that education. And I will tell you, it's been eye-opening working with parents and students alike, you know, and especially students that are in high schools competing at very high levels athletically, and no one has sat down and even talked to them about NCAA eligibility. Nobody's even talked to them about their transcript and how they're not even eligible. You know what I mean? So that's really, really unfortunate.
So we've had probably an 85 to 90% rate of our kids are going to college since, what year you come up, 2015, I think high school? Since 2015, so most of our kids are getting a scholarship on some level, football, academics, junior college, NAIA, Division II, Division III, so we've had a good success rate. So any question you can ask, I guess, student athletes questions, coaches, parents. Thee, who's taking it from me, she helped the Henry Ford whole team this season get their grades in order. You know what I mean? So we got people that know. There's a lot of resources. I mean, Carla's here. She's gonna be part of the team in terms of helping with, you know, making sure our kids, like getting these kids in order when we break down the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade kids, and we're gonna break down what you need to be doing. And one thing that I've learned that I've probably made a mistake at some is I've talked maybe too much to the kids as opposed to talking to both the kids. We talk about this, the kids and the parents, because kids are not going to follow up like they need to. But that being said, a few things that we do, have been and are always going to stress with the kids is following up, look at people in the eyes when they're talking, time management, things that are going to help them in life. So we're going to carry out across the board from 4th grade all the way up to 17. We're stressing that because those things will translate and help kids when they, because again, like Wendell said, when you're on your own, it's completely different. Nobody's there to wake you up in the morning. Nobody's there to, you know, make sure you go to class and do what you got to do, you know, and I'm proud of Wendell because he got a head start of it, you know what I mean? So, you know, it prepares you, but we all can do things, you know what I'm saying, at home to make our kids, you know, independent. So,
Yes. The one thing that tell kids, and Joel will tell you this, I was completely honest with them. Be honest with your kids and be honest with their skill assessment.
Wow.
Because the coaches are, they're not, I haven't, you know, I sat and watched, we had kids come and go from fifth grade on, and they go to other programs trying to find, Joel ended up starting, not because he got better shooting, or he got better dribbling, he started because he started working hard.
Yep.
And that was what, every year, if there was one issue, was work hard, work hard, work hard. And, you know, little things, boxing out, playing defense, getting a loose ball. Those are things that, you know, the coaches are stressing. I've never seen a coach in any level pick on a kid. But they'll tell the kids the truth, you know, where they're at, and listen to that, and then have the kids work on that.
That competition pushes them to be their best, and that really should be the goal.
Wow.
Right? Because I hate to bust anybody's bubble. A college scholarship is not guaranteed for anybody. Even some of the best kids don't even know where they're going to college right now. It's not a guarantee. Okay, there are no guarantees in this life. We all know that, right? But you want to put your children in situations where they are pushed to be their absolute best, to meet their potential, whatever that might be. And in that process, my son, that's what he learned from this whole thing, was he had to show up every single day. Because I guarantee the day that he didn't show up in practice, or the day he wasn't knocking down shots, take this nice seat right next to me, Cameron McEvans, and study the game, if that's what, you know, it calls for. Because the ball will stop bouncing for every single one of them, but these relationships, this situation will always be there. Him being pushed to his absolute best and knowing that at the end of the day, he gave it everything that he had every single day, that's going to live with him, you know, forever, no matter what his college situation looks like.
But I'm gonna tell you one thing I'm gonna say about Wendell's situation, because especially I guess the last 3-4 weeks we had coaches probably 2 or 3 coaches calling a day. And he's respectful to whether it's Tiffin College, Yale, San Diego State, you know, South Carolina, respectful to all of them. And that goes a long way. It's gonna go a long way for everybody in this room too. You know? Because he's got 45 schools recruiting them. Only gonna go to one. But those coaches, that coach at South Carolina, who knows, he may be the head coach at Philly University in 3 years, and that's where they'll be recruiting, you know what I mean, Cordell. I mean, you know, so we're building
Playmaker kids are great.
I mean, some great relationships, you know what I'm saying, with college. And we have anyway before this. I'm just saying him because it's the masses with him. I mean, so many before this, but we have so many relationships in that we're not cutting them off, you know what I mean, just because, oh, well, that he probably won't go to that region or he probably won't go to that school. No, it's not about that. It's about the relationships again, because even for him or for whoever, if it's for Aaron Martin Jr. and he may want a job with the Knicks,
Yep.
you know, 10 years from now. And guess what? That coach from Lehigh that's recruiting Wendell may be a Knicks executive. You know what I'm saying? He may hire Aaron Martin. So it all ties together. You know what I'm saying?
This is what I really want everybody here to understand is sticking it out. And always understanding why we do everything. You know, if you're talking about you want your son or daughter to play college basketball, well, I think the one thing that you must do is put them with some people who's going to make them play college basketball style play. Is it about winning all the time? We play man-to-man defense, and I've had, and this is honest, this is true. We've had so many people come to us in Dallas, Texas, and in Milwaukee, Minnesota, and Louisville, everywhere we've gone, and they say, damn, we haven't seen a team play defense like this in the AAU ever. So for us, the requirements is, look, we're going to teach and play this game the right way. And it is about telling and making sure a kid gets to where they say they want to go.
That's right.
I'm going to say that again for you.
Exactly.
This is about getting your child somewhere they say they want to go. So we're going to give them the map.
What was your mindset like going into like 9th grade, like the transition from 8th grade like to 9th grade?
Good question.
Me, well, going into my freshman year, I was probably like, if you look at the rankings and stuff, I was one of the top players. It doesn't mean anything, but like, I still wanted to be the best. I was still a kid, like, if you look at the seniors in high school, I wasn't as mature. So like you'll see them working out, and me, I'll be in the hallway just playing around. So like I feel like I wasn't there like where I'm at right now, like with my mindset. Now I'm all about getting money and trying to go to college for free. And I want to beat everybody that's in front of me. But my freshman year, it was like, oh, this is cool. It's high school. Like it's gonna be fun. You know, the girls, everything's gonna be fun. So like,
So what would you tell them? What would you
so
say?
George, just remember that everything that's there. One dude that's going to Vanderbilt, he went to Vanderbilt. He got drafted for baseball, but still went to Vanderbilt. He was like, because I was in the hallways, he was like, the people that are in the hallways now stay in the hallways. So like, he was like, you're gonna be in the hallways right now, you're gonna end up in the streets. So he was like, that's basically what he said to me. I was like, oh, that really like hit me. Like, go live. You know what I'm saying? Like, go do something productive. If your parents not picking you up right at 3 when school's out, go do something for that hour or 30 minutes. You know, don't just talk to people. You can always talk to somebody over the phone. So like, go do something while you're at school, while the gym's open. So that's all I tell you to do. Going into your freshman year.
Yeah, similar to that, you talk about, Vanderbilt. Watch what the seniors do, watch what the older people do. Make sure, because they've been through the 4 years of high school, they already know what's coming, they already know what it is. So watch what they're doing, how they're working out, how they're always in the gym, how they're always doing their school at first. Watch how they do it and just try and copy that as much as you can, because they know what they're doing.
I have to say, transition, it's all how you make it, to be honest. It's all how you make it. See, me personally, like growing up, Metro Detroit for the longest, I went to a predominantly white high school, and that was tough in itself. It's a culture shock, to be honest. Like, you don't know really what's going on, everybody a little weird, but like, fortunate for me, like I came, me and like 5 of my friends, we set a goal. We're gonna go to a school that wasn't known for basketball, and we gonna turn the basketball culture around. And my senior year, I ended up going 21-2 the whole year. And like the whole thing, like stay away from distractions, please. The female's always gonna be there. The friends always gonna be there. The class clown that you cool with always gonna be there. Just stay focused on your goal, and the rest gonna pay off.
I tell my sons, girls are a distraction. Keep your head in the books. Focus on what can you gentlemen give them just 1 or 2 quick things of like how to practically do that, because peer pressure will come, especially people that will be jealous of you guys because you're in the gym, you're working out, you're trying to be serious. Some of your friends, quote unquote, or people around you in school and laugh at you, or you gotta go to the gym, or why you gotta, like, give them just a couple things that they can really like lean on when it happens, when those distractions and peer pressure really come to them. How do they deal with that?
I just have to say, one thing that helps, set goals for yourself, because everything you do, you have to lay out a plan to get there. So it might have to be, all right, I know I'm supposed to hang out with this person, or I'm supposed to hang out with that person, but I gotta work out. So you might have to tell that person, like, I got something I gotta do. If you come with me and watch or something, but I have to do this. Or it might be, I gotta put this phone down for an hour. Let me knock out push-ups in between TV. Like, some you just have to do something, set yourself apart. And then once everybody see you serious about it, they'll kind of like veer off and do their own thing and connect with you when you free.
For me, I went to country day. I had 2 friends that came with me. I'm a basketball player, a football player, but we all had we have the same goal, which is I want to be a professional, they want to be professional. So I would say find your group of friends, or it doesn't have to be a big group, like you can hang out with 1 or 2 guys that are just as focused as you, which I feel like they were probably more focused than me my freshman year. Because me, I was caught up in like, oh man, she wants to talk to me after school, I have to, and then they'll pull me away, like, no, we gotta go live. And then if you have other friends that aren't focused, kind of distance yourself from them. Because when I went to La Lumiere and I come back here, it's like everybody wants to hang out with you. Everybody wants to do this. People you never even talk to. So it's like those people are always gonna be there. They always want to talk to you, especially when you're doing good. So I just say find a group of friends that are just as focused as you, or even more focused, and follow them.
I want maybe more for the athlete. So you guys obviously have great skill and ability athletically, things like that. What would you say are some of your other skills and attributes that put you in the position that you're in now, that maybe some coaches recognized and things like that, that we would want to encourage our kids? Like we've talked a lot about communication and time management, things like that, but just maybe some other attributes and stuff like that you know, we can start encouraging with our kids.
I'd say one for me is, say I'm not crazy fast or can jump out of the gym or do all that stuff, but with, especially, you know, with football and basketball, is being able to know the game, especially more from the football side, is being able, my coaches were able to use, you know, I played end, outside linebacker, tight end, receiver. I was one of our backup quarterbacks because I could learn the plays fast enough. And so just being able to use all your skills to play as many spots as possible. When your coach comes in and, you know, your coach comes in and says, hey, I got this kid, he's playing 4 different positions for us, look at his film. And I had one coach came to me, he's like, so what position do you play? I'm like, I play mainly tight end. He's like, I was looking at film and I saw you make an interception playing a backer. And I'm like, yeah, they just use me all over every need, and coaches love to see that. And, you know, basketball too, as well as being able to play guard, play forward, being able to know the movements, being able to know the game, and knowing how to learn the game.
For me, I had to say my attitude. Like, I was one of the people, like, I'm not the tallest. I'm 6'3", maybe 6'4", and like every year in high school, literally, I averaged double. Like every game, I probably like I didn't have games, so I had 17 to 23 rebounds against a kid 6'8", 6'9". Like every game, coach asked me to do something, no problem, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm a competitor, I want to win, so I'm gonna do anything to put myself in that position to win. So that's my biggest thing. Attitude.
For me, I'm also like I'm a small guy, so probably toughness. That's probably the biggest skill you can have too. Like outside of dribbling, being able to shoot. I'm pretty much faster than a lot of guys that chase me, but just being tough with everybody.
Physical or mental?
Both actually. Mentally, you gotta be mentally tougher than your opponent all the time. But physically, like just knowing nobody's gonna, if I have the ball, nobody's gonna run up and take the ball from me. So like, it's just not just a pride thing. It's like just being confident and just having toughness.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, how much value, or I guess, how much does it add to what you guys do as coaches, are including the services like the NCSA and stuff like that?
Okay. So let me. Can I answer that?
Yeah, so explain what the NCSA is first.
So, well, NCSA, there'll be a million sites, right? Everybody, there's a million sites trying to get your money, trying to recruit your kid, trying to do all this. Let me just say this. My family, we didn't pay a dime to any of those services, okay? And I'm gonna use my daughter's example, right? Because I can tell you about my son, but it's not working for him exactly the way that we wanted it to work. So I'll use my daughter again. She has 15 Division I offers right now. Didn't do a single site, didn't do anything. Let me tell you what we spent our money on, okay? We spent our money on, obviously, her playing basketball. We spent money on schools. Her dad did all her highlight films on his phone, okay? Same thing you all can do, literally starting in middle school. He taped her games, taped her clips. Twitter account, that's free, right? If I'm not mistaken, last time I checked. Twitter is free. Facebook is free. Recruiting questionnaires on college websites right now are free. You can do all those things right now. So, do the sites, they'll take your money and they'll say that they'll get your kids additional exposure. I have not come across one that's gotten a kid any more exposure than you can get your kids with a little bit of hard work and energy. And again, that's not just as a parent, that's as an athletic director as well. I was with Southfield Public Schools for several years. I was president of Oakland County Athletic Directors Association, so I'm speaking, multiple schools here. Every single one of those sites, God bless them, they do what they do, but in today's day and age of technology, with a little bit of work, you can do the exact same thing.
There's a few aspects, I think, so like Buckeye Prep, Elite 80, John Lucas Camp, I can go out and kind of name some of the things. I think your kids should do one or two of those. Camps and things like that. I mean, it's a couple of things. So you got to better do drills. You got to better go to those camps and play with 4 other guys on the court that you never played with. So that's part, because you're going to always have to do that. And then you have to better play with a team. You have to be in some structured environment and better play team basketball. So you got to do all 3 of those. So in terms of just stepping outside that, I think if you ask me, your kid does need to go to a exposure camp, one or two, not too many, you know what I'm saying? But just because it's just something different, it's outside the element, and they got to play with guys, and again, it's going to hog the ball, and you know what I mean? One thing we laugh about is at exposure camp, the ball go through the basket and everybody looking like this, is he gonna take it out? Nobody wants to take the ball out because once you take it out, you never get the ball back. You know what I'm saying? But again, you gotta learn how to play like that. But then again, you gotta learn how to play when you're playing for Cordell, how to play a team ball. You know what I'm saying? So it's a time and a place for everything.
If your child is in 7th grade right now, for every hour that they are spending with this basketball thing, you have got to make sure that they are just as invested in this SAT, ACT prep, and this academic side. And I'm not talking about their homework they get from school.
Right.
I'm literally talking about your 7th graders sitting down, reading an ACT, SAT passage, and answering the questions about it. Because one of the things, or a lot of the things that our kids are facing right now with these tests, right, especially young men, these tests are long, they are draining, they are hard, and if your son is anything like my son was, just looking at the test just drains him. Like, you know, he's like, I cannot do this. Oh my God, this test is like 3 hours long. Just the thought of sitting still for 3 hours, right, takes him like to another planet. And so if there was something I would have done differently with my son, it is I would have started that process much sooner. So that just like his basketball stuff becomes just a habit, just another thing that he does, that this test prep and stuff is just as much of a habit, because there is absolutely no reason in investing all this money on the athletic side. Your child is positioned to be able to get a scholarship, and they have to call the coach up and say, I am not a qualifier, okay? I cannot take the scholarship that we have worked so hard for to get to that next level. And you would be surprised. And this is not a Detroit versus a suburban thing. This is not, I promise you, I've dealt with kids at all schools, even some of the quote unquote smart schools, good schools. The test is difficult, right? And it's not even if they know the content, just sitting still for 3 hours and taking the test and everything else is difficult. So the earlier you can start them on that journey, right, to get them familiar with it, even if you just go buy a test book that literally they're $30. One passage, one set of questions a week, right? I don't even care if they get every question wrong. Just making it through reading the whole passage, which is boring, dry, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? Boys, it's not science fiction, it's not fun stuff that they want to read about. But just getting them familiar with that process and getting them to understand early that this is just as much a part of this process as the basketball side is, as the football side is. Because that right there will put your child in a much different situation.
Yeah, they learn how to compete. So as you're about this competing, I know this is competing in life at a young age, because you put them in positions to fail. And that's what you want. You want your kids, the only way to learn success is to fail and have to fight through that failure and realize that they can succeed on their own. They can do it. But you have to put them in that position, and like I say, kind of step back and let them work through that. But competing on the court, competing in school, competing in life is communicating, fighting for what you want, and just having the confidence. You know, and you see the kids as they learn, they can step on any court, whether it's in a job, school, wherever it is, and they can compete. They're not intimidated stepping out.
When they go out, tournaments across, they pick the best tournaments to play in, the best competition. And again, sometimes that means your kids might come home with some losses. They might not come home with the plastic trophies, right? Plastic ribbons, right? We don't need any more of those anyway, right? But I guarantee you they will play with the best. They will be developed, again, to their best, their potential, if you trust the process and let your child run their race.
99% of the people that are involved in this program are real, genuine people that just care about helping these kids get better as people, better as basketball players. So again, we've been blessed just to be magnets to that. You know what I mean?